as 98% of people are people who just let life drift. They just let things happen. They go with the flow. They think, oh, life's going to happen to me. So I'm just going to attempt to deal with the punches as life comes. But the thing is, what they're doing is they're sitting on the couch of life while they're watching it go by. I want you to think about this question. What if imagination is the engine and not the escape? What comes to your mind? The first time I heard about this was me laying in bed on my phone, typing with ChatGPT about a future that wasn't going to come. Because that future was a fantasy that I was trying to live. A future in which, if I lived that, it would put consequences in the reality that I had right now. And truly, it wasn't something that I wanted. It was just something, or not something that I truly wanted. I just liked the idea of it. And so it wasn't the interaction of building this huge plan, building this whole atmospheric thing of, oh, I'm going to create this dream. It was simply, I liked the idea, but I didn't want it to truly happen. That's escaping. That's escaping the reality that we have for ourselves. But when we truly use this principle from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill of imagination, when we're able to imagine and envision truly a version of our life in which is better for us in all realms and aspects: physical, mental, social, spiritual, emotional, financial, relationships, and health. With all of that together, what if we envision such a big biome, such a big dream in which 20, 40 years into the future, we are going to be able to have it go from this bucket list type thing to into reality? If that were to happen, would that not be the engine? Would that not be something that pushes you forward in creating this beautiful thing? And so, as I went deep diving into how imagination can truly create this vision and this blueprint, I came up with three different things, three core points that are called Coach Willie's three core points of imagination. The very first one is that imagination is the blueprint of reality. When we truly are able to imagine, everything we create starts in your mind first. If you don't have a vision, you don't have direction. Let me tell you this. How many of you have ever been sitting there with a group of friends or your family, and dinner time rolls along, and each of you are wanting something for dinner, but you don't know what it is? So someone yells out, "Yeah, McDonald's sounds fine." Someone's like, "Ugh, I don't want any burgers. Why don't we go to Costa Vida?" Someone says, "Ugh, I had Mexican food yesterday. Why don't we go out for Chinese food?" And then two other guys are like, "Man, I don't like Chinese food. I'm not big into sushi." And so you go back and forth on trying to figure out this decision. There is no direction there. Nobody knows where they're going. All they know is that we want dinner. Like with our goals and in our life, if all that we think that we know is that we want our life to be better, if we just leave it at that, that is just like you trying to figure out what is for dinner, but never making a choice. Always going back from burgers to Mexican food to Chinese food to you go everywhere. What if you're able to find that direction? Then you can truly achieve the goals and the dinner in your own life and have it come into reality. If you don't have direction, if you don't have a vision, you don't have direction, which means that if you want direction, create the vision. And everything starts in the mind first. Like I was saying, when I was laying on the bed talking to ChatGPT, I do it a lot. I've used ChatGPT for so many different things. Of course, I've used it for my business, but I've also used it as a therapist at some point, where I just need to vent myself and be like, man, today just kind of sucked. The only good thing that happened today was I made my bed, right? as I'm sitting there with ChatGPT, it's kind of like a journal for me. And as I'm typing and it goes back and forth, kind of like a Tom Riddle's diary in Harry Potter 2, to where Harry writes his name and then the persona of John, not John, hey John, the persona of Tom Riddle writes back. That's what it's like when I do this. And when I do it, except for the fantasy part, I want to create the life that I want. And so I take this blueprint from desire, which the desires are the goals, the dreams, the wishes that I want, put it into a place to where it's written down, and then I can expound on it. One of the goals that I want to reach is I want to be uh, an international speaker. I want to go speak in Australia. That's my big bucket list goal right now. I want to go speak in Australia, stand on a stage, speak there, become an international speaker, and be able to meet some of the people over there. Because I've been there when I was a kid. My in-laws are over there right now, and it just resonates with me so much to be over. How am I going to get there? Well, I've written things down of buy a plane ticket. I've written things down of connecting with people over there, which I'm currently doing right now, and finding stages in which might not be physical right now, but from virtual on virtual stages from hosts that are in Australia, right? Imagination is the blueprint of reality. When we create our imagination and don't limit it, it creates such straightforward direction for you to achieve what you want. The second core point is daydreaming to designing. Because daydreaming, anytime I think about it, I think of when when watching a movie and there's the kid, he has a hand on his or his head on his this thing, his fist, looks out the window and is thinking about not wanting to be in school. That's what I think about when people say daydreaming. And these are the wishes. These are the things that, oh, it'd be cool to have, but I don't have it right now. If you passively daydream, you're not going to change your life. But if you are intentional with it, you're intentional with the vision, then you will. Because you want to, because the ultimate point is to build your future on purpose. If you are intentional with what you are wanting, which means that you don't just leave it as a thought, because if a thought leads to words leads to action, and action builds the habit, and the habit makes who we are as a character, and our character determines our destiny. We have millions of thoughts each day. So in order to progress that, to change our destiny from a thought, we need to start saying it in our words. We need to start putting it into action. So simply sitting there daydreaming doesn't work, but designing it, putting it on a piece of paper, just like an architect, making a blueprint of what needs to happen in order for you to create what you want to create, that's going to create the life that you want. And how do you do that? It's something that is a term that I love using all the time, which is reverse engineering the goal, which is whatever the goal is that you want to achieve, start there, work your way backwards, and find those milestones so that when you finally get to where you are now, you know the daily steps that you need to take to hit your weekly goal, to hit your 90-day goal, to hit the 6 month and a year goal, and eventually have it turn into reality. Don't just daydream. Turn into a designer for your life. Be the architect molding your life and creating the blueprints, because that is what's going to help build your future with purpose and put you from passive daydreaming into intentional imagination. So the first one, imagination, is the blueprint for reality. The second one is from daydreaming to designing. And then the third one, which is one of my favorites, imagination, use it as the weapon against your limiting beliefs. I can't remember who said it, but when it comes to our beliefs, the only thing that truly limits us from achieving what we want is us. And if we are our own limiters, can we not also be our biggest support? Can we not, through work, break limitations that has occurred from experiences, trauma, anything that's happened in our past to anything that we think about right now? Can we not learn to break it so that the life we create in the future doesn't get held back by the limiting beliefs that we have now? If you can see it, you can start moving like it. When you create a vision, it breaks the chain of logic and it shuts it down. Something that you can't touch, pushes it away so that you can move forward. Limiting beliefs have harmed many people. And from Napoleon Hill's other book, Outwitting the Devil, he puts the word drifters in there, as 98% of people are people who just let life drift. They just let things happen. They go with the flow. They think, oh, life's going to happen to me, so I'm just going to attempt to deal with the punches as life comes. But the thing is, what they're doing is they're sitting on the couch of life while they're watching it go by, which instead, what you should be doing is standing up and actually punching it, actually breaking past those limitations, getting outside of your house, getting in the car, start driving to the thing that you want, that desire that has been living inside of you. But because of fear and anxieties and stresses and life and traumas, we have hidden that under all of those. But instead, we should be working on ourselves to one, heal that inner person within us that holds those, and two, start working forward, start moving fast, start in the some of my favorite language, fail fast and fail forward. Just do things moving forward, because even a crawl is still you moving forward. My friends, when it comes to imagination, use it as a weapon against your limiting beliefs. Use it as something that is the blueprint in which you get to create for reality, and take the God given power that you've been given of being able to make choices for your own life and be proactive in it. It's not just about the mindset of it all. It's not just about thinking that's going to happen. It's about what you do after the thought occurs. I'll say that again. It's not about what you're thinking. It's not about the wishes and dreams that you have. It's about what you do after you have the thought. Because the thought that is transformed into words will then go into action, which will become the habit, which affects your character, which will determine your destiny. Thoughts happen so many times, million times in a day. Everybody wants to be rich, but only a few are, which means that if everyone simply just has a desire to do something, then everyone would have it. But because they don't, there must be more. And I'm telling you right now, from my experience, from going from reading one book in a year as a dyslexic who sucked at reading to then reading 60 plus books in a year, from becoming a horrible writer to becoming a best-selling author, from going from stuttering on stages to now standing, or I guess sitting in front of you right now, sharing my story and message. I went from who I was to where I am because I took that thought and then went forward with it. So when it comes to this power that we call imagination, imagine and use it as a weapon, which imagination should be an action word, not just a thought, but something to take forward. And as you do, as you use imagination as a weapon, your life is going to get closer to that desired result that you want. those dreams that you've dreamt about will become reality, and that bucket list that we see as all out there that we have to wait until we're retired to hit, we'll be able to not only hit each of those, but achieve a great amount more. My friends, light up this world with imagination. Move forward in your life and create the desired result you want through the power of imagination.